The lads have been over the beach pretty thoroughly, sir, but I can't say they've come up with much. One empty cigarette packet, a chicken bone, 3 pieces of string, and a pair of scissors. The scissors have obviously been left out quite recently. They're still bright and shining. They weren't out in yesterday's rain.
Where were they found?
Close by the bottom of the ladder. And there was this fragment of a pipe.
Oh, quality briar. Expensive.
You smoke a pipe, do you not, Mr. Lane?
Oh, yes. It's my old friend and companion. I've got it here. Never leaves my pocket. Tell me, where was the body found?
Just about where you're standing, sir.
Oh.
Now then, Mr. Redfern, where's the entrance to this cave? I can't see any sign of it.
It's over here. Just by this pile of rocks, the entrance is round here.
It looks very narrow. It would be difficult for a man to squeeze through that.
You'll find its appearance is deceptive. You'll just about manage it, Monsieur Poirot.
Quite a handy little place. You'd never suspect it was here from the outside. What is it, Poirot?
Trace of perfume, perhaps?
Well, I can't smell anything. Doesn't seem to be anything of interest.
There is a ledge up there. Might be worth investigating, but it is beyond my reach. You are a tall man, Mr. Lane. Could I ask you to find out if there is anything there?
Of course. Yes. There's a box of some sort.
Careful. Don't handle it more than you can help. There may be fingerprints.
A sandwich tin.
Left behind from somebody's picnic, I suppose. Oh, very neat. Containers for salt and pepper and mustard. Well, that's funny. They're all full of salt.
Are you quite certain that it is salt, Inspector?
Oh, this isn't salt. Not by a long way. Could be a drug of some sort.
Better send it off straight away. Get your men to go over this place with a fine tooth comb. We may as well return to the hotel.
By all means. And let us go back while the sea is still calm. The scent of Gabrielle number 8. A broken pipe stem. A bottle thrown from a window. A piece of green calendar. A girl's wristwatch. Someone taking a bath at an unusual time of day. Each of these must be fitted into its correct place. There can be no loose ends. A task for the little grey cells.
Lost in thought, Mr. Poirot?
Not at all, Inspector Colgate. You might say that I am playing a game of patience with imaginary cards.
I've been looking a little further into one of those strangling cases you asked about. The Alice Corrigan murder.
And what have you found, my friend?
She was killed about 12 miles from Weatheridge, where the vicar was a certain Stephen Lane.
Oh, that is very interesting.
The husband was the obvious suspect, since the woman's life had been insured in his favor, but he was washed right out of it. The body was discovered by a passing hiker, a games mistress from a school up north somewhere, at 4:15. Now, Mr. Corrigan was coming back on a train from London and had arranged to meet his wife at a local cafe by the station at around 4:30. He waited there for half an hour and then went off to look for her.
And when did the police examine the body?
At 5:45 or thereabouts. The hiker had to go a fair way to the nearest phone box to report it. But what is really interesting is that the circumstances of the killing are very similar to those of another strangling case. Nellie Parsons, a rather flighty servant girl. And she too was murdered not a dozen miles away from Stephen Lane's vicarage.
It is difficult to know which pieces are part of the fur rug and which are the cat's tail.
What was that, sir?
Huh? Oh, I apologize. I was following a train of thought of my own.
Your mind works in a funny way, doesn't it, sir? But I dare say it all comes right in the end. Tell me, why are you so interested in these other strangulation cases?
And it occurred to me that the murder in Pixie Cove might not be the first case of its kind.
That's certainly a new way of looking at it.
I said to myself, let us examine past crimes of a similar kind, and if there is a murder which closely resembles this one, then we may have a very valuable clue.
You mean using the same method of killing?
Oh, I mean more than that. The death of Alice Corrigan. Do you notice one striking similarity to the murder of Arlena Marshall?
No, sir. I can't say that I do. Unless it is that in each case the husband has got a cast-iron alibi.
So, you notice that? It is curious, is it not?
I thought you ought to know that I've decided on a course of action, Poirot. But I'd like your opinion on it before I set things in motion.
Go ahead, mon colonel. Tell me what it is.
I think I should call in Scotland Yard and hand the case over to them. Although there may be vague grounds for suspicion against one or two people, I'm convinced that the whole thing hinges on heroin smuggling, and that Pixie Cave was a rendezvous for the stuff.
I agree.
Oh, good man. You agree that it's the wise thing to do?
It may be.
Oh, damn it all, man. What's your objection? Have you got something up your sleeve?
If I have, I am not sure that I can prove it.
So what do you think ought to be done about it?
I know what I should like to do.
What's that?
I should like to go on a picnic.
A picnic, Monsieur Poirot? What on earth put that idea into your head?
Oh, surely it is not such an outrageous idea, madame. We need something of the everyday to restore us all to normal. And I am fascinated to see something of Dartmoor.
You want to see the prison?
Oh, no, Mademoiselle Darnley. I wish to see the Pixies. Do you remember, Mr. Redfern? You told me that there were places on Dartmoor where the Pixies were supposed to live.
Oh, yes, there's Pixie's Cave on Sheep's Tor, and there's Pixie's Holt, and there's Pixie's Bridge.
Then what better reason could there be for a picnic?
You'll have to count me out, I'm afraid, Poirot. I've got a business appointment in Plymouth.
Oh, it will be our loss, Captain Marshall. I trust that the others will be able to come. I shall make arrangements for our transport.
It looks as though it's going to be a lovely day.
It's not really pixie weather, Mrs. Gardner. I don't think they care much for sunshine.
I'm afraid Linda's not coming, Monsieur Poirot. She says she's got a frightful headache.
But it would do her good to come out with us. It might help to cheer her up a little.
Well, I've tried to tell her that, but it's no use. She's absolutely determined. I've given her some aspirin and she's gone to bed.
I'll stay with Linda. I don't mind a bit.
Oh, no, Christine. You must come with us, darling. I'm sure Linda will be all right on her own.
Well, Mrs. Gardner, did you have a good day? Were the Pixies up to form?
Oh, it was simply wonderful, Captain. The moors were just too lovely for anything.
And I've had a very boring day, going through the books with my accountant. I've only just this moment come back.
Oh, it was such a pity you couldn't be with us. We had a really marvelous picnic, and Monsieur Poirot was in such high spirits. Poor Miss Brewster had rather a funny turn on the way back, though.
I trust it wasn't serious.
Oh, it was just her vertigo, I think. We were crossing a narrow bridge over a little river, and she suddenly stopped and couldn't go on. She just stood there, swaying backwards and forwards until Mr. Redfern and Monsieur Poirot went to her rescue.
Think back for a moment. Who did everyone suppose she had gone off to Pixie Cove to meet that morning, huh? Patrick Redfern. And I knew from the look on her face that it was not a blackmailer she was expecting, but her lover.
Well, it certainly wasn't me. Someone must have used my name.
I think not. It is my belief that she went to Pixie Cove to meet you, and that she did meet you there, and that you killed her there, as you had planned to do.
You're mad. You know very well I went round to the beach in the boat with Miss Brewster and found Arlena lying dead on the beach.
Not dead, Mr. Redfern. It was the living body of the woman who helped you. Her arms and legs stained with tan, her face hidden by a large green cardboard hat. Christine, your partner in this crime and in the crime she helped you commit when she supposedly discovered the body of Alice Corrigan at least 20 minutes before she died, killed by her husband, Edward Corrigan. You, Mr. Redfern.
Damn you, Poirot.
No, Patrick. Don't lose your temper.
The Surrey police have already identified you from a photograph taken here at this hotel.
You lousy little worm.
You little... Get him! Get him!
They've taken them both off to the police station at Lethercombe. How are you feeling, Poirot?
Bruised, but triumphant, mon colonel.
I imagine you'll survive. Now, Poirot, I hope you're sufficiently recovered to tell us all what happened.
I'd be so thrilled if you'd allow me to listen, Monsieur Poirot. I've always wanted to know how you solve your crimes.
I would be honored, madame. It all began that first morning when Arlena Marshall made her entrance onto the beach. We had been talking of the sun-tanned bodies, and I reflected on how little difference there was between one brown body and another.
You said they looked like boiled lobsters.
It was on that morning that I spoke with the Reverend Lane about evil. For him, evil was focused in the person of Arlena Marshall, the kind of woman who wrecked lives and destroyed souls.
Well, so she did.
Ah, but I saw her very differently. It was not she who attracted men. It was men who fatally attracted her. In Patrick Redfern, with his good looks and his fine body and his easy assurance, I recognize the type of man who makes his living one way or another out of women, and for whom Arlena Marshall would be his predestined prey.
And of course, Arlena was quite a wealthy woman. Old Erskine left her most of his fortune.
Not that there's much of it left. 15,000 out of 50.
I have no doubt that Patrick Redfern found it easy enough to induce her to hand over large sums from time to time for investment.
But why did he need to kill Arlena? She was the goose that laid the golden eggs.
Ah, but that is just the point. He had deprived her of most of her private fortune, and this fact could not be kept from her husband for much longer. And once Captain Marshall started to ask questions...
And Christine was in on all this?
Oh, yes. None of this could have been done without her. From the time of their arrival here, she played the part of the poor little wife. Frail, helpless, intellectual rather than athletic.
Quite an accomplished little actress.
Just think of the points she made, one after another. Her tendency to blister, her giddiness at heights.
Well, she told Miss Brewster she got stuck on the outside staircase of Milan Cathedral.
Everyone spoke of her as a little woman, but she was actually as tall as Arlena Marshall. She told people that she had been a school teacher as part of her bookish image. In actual fact, she had been a games mistress, a strong young woman who could run like an athlete and climb like a cat.
Hey, just a minute, Monsieur Poirot.
Yes, madame?
Is that why you arranged our little trip to Dartmoor today, so that you could test her out on that nasty little bridge?
How very perceptive of you, madame. People who have a bad head for heights are never comfortable crossing a narrow bridge over running water. Miss Brewster, a genuine sufferer, was rendered quite helpless, but Christine Redfern ran across it without even noticing it.
That's
But I still want to know exactly how they managed the killing.
I will take you through it step by step. Redfern's first act was to slip out very early by the balcony door, which you notice, Colonel. Under his bathing wrap, he concealed a large beach hat, the kind worn by Arlena Marshall. He crossed the island, climbed down the ladder to Pixie Cove, and hid the hat among the rocks. Step number 1.
So he had arranged a rendezvous with Arlena.
Yes. She agreed to go there early, and he told her he would join her at Pixie Cove as soon as he could slip away unobtrusively. If Arlena heard anyone descending the ladder, she was to hide in the cave, the secret of which he had explained to her, and wait there till the coast was clear. Step 2.
You said you could smell Gabrielle number 8 in the cave. It was hers, of course.
Exactly, mademoiselle. In the meantime, Christine was in Linda's room at the time she calculated she would have gone out for her swim. She altered Linda's watch, putting it forward 20 minutes. While she was there, she noticed the book on witchcraft and black magic. And when Linda returned and dropped the package of candles, she realized exactly what was in the girl's mind. It opened up new possibilities. The original scheme had been to throw suspicion onto Kenneth Marshall, hence the fragment of a briar pipe at the bottom of the ladder.
What a ruthless little bitch.
Christine went back to her own room, took out a bottle of artificial suntan, applied it carefully, and threw the empty bottle out of the window.
Oh, nearly brained Miss Brewster.
So that was why you were so obsessed about that bottle.
Uh-huh. She then dressed herself in a white bathing suit and then put on a pair of floppy beach pajamas which effectively concealed her artificial suntan.
And I put it down to her hopeless dress sense.
It also effectively concealed her watch from Linda. At Gull Cove at 11:25, she asked Linda what time it was. Linda's watch showed 11:45. Christine began to pack up her sketching things, and Linda set off for a bathe. As soon as her back was turned, Christine put Linda's watch back to the correct time. She went up the cliff path and ran across the island to the top of the ladder down to Pixie Cove. She stripped off the beach pajamas and climbed rapidly down the ladder.
And she must have been the last person Arlena expected to see, her lover's wife. No wonder she hid in the cave.
Christine took the green hat from its hiding place and lay face down on the sand with the hat concealing her face. The timing is perfect. A minute or two later, the boat comes round the point. Remember, it is Patrick who first sees the body and who bends down to examine it. Miss Brewster does not see the face concealed beneath the hat. She sees only a suntanned body.
And because she suffers from vertigo, she has to go the long way back by boat.
Christine cuts up the cardboard hat with her scissors and stuffs the pieces into her beach bag, climbs back up the ladder, slips into her floppy beach pajamas, and runs back to the hotel. There is just time for her to have a quick bath and wash off the suntan lotion.
I couldn't understand why you were so keen to know who had a bath around 12 o'clock.
She burned the pieces of the sun hat in the hearth in Linda's room and added a scrap torn from a calendar so that it would appear to be a calendar that had been burned.
And then she came and joined us for our game of tennis. No wonder she looked a bit flustered.
Meanwhile, Patrick had gone back to the cave. Arlena could have seen nothing from there and heard only the faint sound of voices. Patrick called her to tell her that all was clear. She came out, and he strangled her. And that was the end of poor, beautiful Arlena Marshall.
And am I to understand that they played the same game over the Corrigan murder?
A very similar game. Again, it involved juggling with time. Christine appeared to be a totally independent witness, a passing lady hiker. She said that she had stumbled upon the body at 4:15. Patrick's alibi effectively covered him until 4:30. He sat in a cafe, apparently waiting for Mrs. Corrigan, and made certain that he was noticed, after which he went to the rendezvous which he had actually arranged with her and murdered the poor woman.
Ingenious. The police had no reason to question the alibi with which Christine had supplied him.
And it was the similarity between the two cases, the corpse discovered before the actual time of the murder, that convinced me I was right. All that was necessary was to goad Patrick Redfern into giving himself away. It was a little rash, perhaps, exposing myself to danger, but it succeeded.